Good evening. Hey, Ham. Thank you for joining me so quickly. I'm here after a 2-day absence from going to visit people and hanging out with friends and girlfriends and friends who are girls. I'm back. It's obviously got here before the notification. How nice. Obviously I'm starting late. It's 1 a.m. as opposed to 12 or earlier like I normally do. So this is going to be a bit shorter. I'll probably still get 2.5 hours in. I was debating whether or not I'd even want to stream tonight or not, but I'm going to be gone 2 days this week because of the Twitch blackout. However, I will be here Friday and Saturday and Sunday, so there's potential for longer streams next weekend. That said, I figured I want to make some progress in this tonight. That way, at least I could finish it off tomorrow and then move on to something else once I get back. In terms of what I'm going to do during the Twitch blackout, I'm probably going to do voice acting auditions, but... Oh, excuse me, sorry. But I also have an idea for a video I want to record just on my own, and then I'll upload it to YouTube like that same day, and we'll see how it turns out. Just so this is on Steam, yep. This is indeed on Steam. Same price as the Switch version. Much higher frame rate. Much like a lot of games, but whatever. It's good. The hell? Okay, sorry. Okay, why is this page, like, flashing? Oh, man, I'm so sorry. So I just got done doing some voiceover auditions now, actually, because I was, A, exhausted, and B, there was an audition due to, like, right now. Would you say earlier my mic was not fixed? Not much. Just recapping what's happened the last few days. Actually, I'm gonna hit continue while we're waiting here. So yeah, some stuff happened. I don't want to get into the details now because this is gonna just be a reading stream, and I want to get as much of this done as I can. Sorry for the sniffling. Again, I just did voice acting, so my throat is kind of, I'm kind of already active, and I'm also tired. I think I'm getting sick. I'm not sure why, but also I have snacks tonight, which I'll be munching on during stream. So, on Friday, I was like, I've been playing so much Great Ace Attorney, I need some fish and chips. And there is a local place that actually specializes in fish and chips, which I've never had from them before, and or never ordered from them before. And it is delicious, and I put it in the fridge. First off, they gave me a shitload of food for what I paid for. I put it in the fridge the entire time I was gone, and it's still good, heated up. So, I'm finishing that off during the stream. It's my dinner for the night. Anyway, we're currently in recess. We're trying to find the dude in the white suit, Eggert Benedict, who turns out that might not be his real name. Well, it isn't his real name. Everyone knows it's an alias. And it turns out he works at a communications tower, so we're summoning him, and we have like a 1-hour recess in the meantime. Eating some gems before your diet starts tomorrow. Nice. Technically, with how I ration out my Jack Links, I have more than enough to eat one. But I'm gonna save it since I have actual food here. I gorged this weekend, and I have a lot of leftovers, so I'm trying to work on them rather than eat wrapped food that I could just eat later. Ah, Gina, how are you holding up? I'm starting to feel quite warmly towards her frequent cold shoulders now. Ginny, are you alright? Why aren't you saying anything? Let me move my thing back here a bit. What's the point, eh? Why go to all this trouble and fight so odd, for the likes of me? What? Well, you saw it. I have to start working out. Oh, right, because your hand's all healed up now, so you could put yourself through exercise. Well, you saw it. That picture. What picture? Ah, you mean this? The photograph taken by Hurley's red-handed recorder. I might still be able to get... If I go to 3:30, I can still get 2.5 hours of this in tonight, which is good. It's almost a full stream. Well, I didn't think I would have earned it... Well, I didn't think it would have captured a scene like this, that's for sure. It's hopeless. Anyone who sees that's gonna think I did it, ain't they? Well, I won't pretend it wasn't a bit of shock when the prosecution first presented it to the court. Surely you gotta have your doubts about me now. You can't still think I'm innocent. Of course I can. Ginny, why don't you talk to us? Tell us what really happened that night. Runa's cleverly managed to piece together a lot of new information, but still... We'd really like to hear it from you. Alright then. Keep your secrets. Alright then, keep your secrets. It was right after we'd had dinner together at your place, right, Iris? Then we all had a chat up in your office, didn't we? Yes, I remember. It was only 2 days ago. But my first. Now I know why Detective Gregson constantly eats this. You reach for your scissors and just accidentally stapled your Slim Jim. Oof, I hate that. I've stapled my Slim Jim before. Had to get the thing removed and had to wear a cloth for a couple days. After that, I just couldn't get to sleep. So I slipped out and went down the street to the 2-1 to Windy Bank's place. I had to know. It is Gregson, right? That's the detective. Yeah, Tobias Gregson, named after a character from Sherlock Holmes. Wrong Slim Jim, yeah. If Iris' story was there or not, the Hound of the Baskervilles. I don't know what's about or nothing. Also, don't ask where I got these fish and chips. Well, if you ask me, there's something in that that Sholmes don't like. Something what you don't want people reading. So that's why he lied to Iris about sticking it in lug with Windy Bank for safekeeping. At least that's what I thought at the time. So you broke into Windy Banks? I just had to know if it was there or not. I mean, I had no idea if all that was going to kick off, did I? I struck the lock and snuck inside. It was dark, it was dark as you like in there. So I gave the old oil lamp on the counter a bit of wick, and that's when... What do you think you're doing? Ugh! And he died, I did. And next thing I knew... I grabbed the gun off the counter and was waving it in the air like... I don't know what. Ah, you're the girl who was here this afternoon. I didn't think the pickpockets went in for armed robbery. The manuscript. Have you got it here? Did Sholmes leave a load of papers with you? A story? I beg your pardon? The Hound of the something or other. If it's here, I want to see it. I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers. I don't want it. What would I do with it anyway? I just want to see it's here, that's all. Oh, you want to see it, do you? I don't remember the voice I gave this guy. I want to know if Sholmes really pawned it here or not. Anyway, how in the world did you staple your Slim Jim? No, that was a joke. I didn't actually staple my Slim Jim. Please, just let me go in and see it and I'll go. There we go and go and go and go. Oh, very well then. But for pity's sake, stop waving my gun around, would you? So then the old cove unlocked the southern door, and we both went inside. I'm about to say, I know what's happened. It was there, alright. The manuscript. Sholmes weren't lying after all. You did all that just to check for me, Ginny? Anyway, then there was a bit of a kick-up out in the main bit of the shop. The Skulkin brothers arriving on the scene, yes. What was that noise? Someone's breaking in. Dear me, is there some burglars' convention here tonight that I don't know about? I think I forgot to shut the door behind me. Sorry. I'd better go and take care of it. Could I possibly have my gun back? Oh, well, I'll come with you and... Now don't be foolish, young girl. You must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances. It hasn't happened to me, don't worry. And with that, he took out the gun from me hands and walked back out in the shop. He did? I hung back in the storeroom like he said, straining my ears in the dark to hear what was going on. It sounded like they got into a bit of scrap. I started to think I should help, see? So I was just about to go out the storeroom myself, when... I heard a couple of shots go off. 2, I think. Almost at the same time. And then there he was, right at me feet, lying face down on the floor. Oh. I was right next to the storeroom door, so I slammed it and shut it and locked it real quick as you like. Because you thought whoever shot Mr. Windybank might come for you? Yeah, so I went to grab the old cove's gun. I figured I'd put up a fight at least. But when I got a better look at him, I knew. Windybank was a goner. I felt funny in me head all of a sudden, kinda dizzy. And after that, I don't remember nothing. I got these fish and chips with dip, like chipotle dip and avocado ranch, and it was good with the chipotle. Not so great with the avocado ranch. It was a little wasn't a whole lot of avocado flavor. But man, even without anything on these now, it's really good. This place makes excellent fish and chips, especially for the price you pay for them. Just don't like seafood, unfortunately. I used to hate seafood, then I had sushi, and I really got into it. And now I've kind of branched out, and I eat a bunch of other types of seafood as well. Can't eat shrimp. Shrimp I'm allergic to. Technically, I'm allergic to crab and lobster, but it doesn't affect me as badly as shrimp does. Shrimp, like, makes my throat close. That must be when you passed out, Gina. If I hadn't done what I'd done, the old cove might still be alive. Just tried so much. It's fair. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I eat a lot of shit, so... I have a very unrefined... Well, no. I guess I would say I have a very refined palate, because I can appreciate most tastes. Not everything, but some. Liver and onions, I can't stand. I had that once, and I was ready to throw up. Did you tell the police everything you just told us? Of course I did. But they didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was, if I kept telling lies, it'd make things even worse for me. It'll be alright, Ginny, don't worry. Just stay strong a little longer. Nuno's about to put the real culprit through the mill. That cove what was there in the afternoon? That Egget Benedict. Yes, say goodbye to style, baby. I still remember how he looked at me. Can't eat anything but liver and seafood. You could eat anything but liver and seafood. Like I was nothing. I had Greek-style liver and onions. It wasn't... It was really... It was there that night. We don't know his real name yet. But I'm convinced that he's involved somehow. Anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Gina. And thank you for the food. It's really good. I appreciate your honesty. You what? You what, mate? You could leave it all in Bruno's capable hands now, Ginny. Mr. Nawa Odo. Yes? How come you trust me? I don't get it. I mean, have you forgotten what happened here before? Come on, it was only 2 months ago. Me and Mick Gilded, we told you a whole pack of lies. And you got the bog trotter off of him, even though he was a killer. No, I can never forget that. You were threatened into doing it, so... Oh, I did what I thought was best at the time. But the pain of that error of judgment doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you that I'd be on your side to the bitter end, no matter what. Made mac and cheese for your girlfriend and you earlier. Nice, I had mac and cheese bites on Friday with my fish and chips. And that's why it was so filling. I have to get the double and the mac and cheese bites next time instead of the triple. But what if I'm lying? You could be working with another killer to look off there. You could be working to get another killer off the hook for all you know. I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in a trial. You were? Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. I did it, but I managed to convince everyone I didn't. 6 cheese mac and cheese. Wow, nice. And strange as it might sound, the circumstances of the crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it wasn't me who'd done it. Oh, Runo. But there was one person who stood up for me, who believed in me, and was prepared to defend me. A 6-volt Mac. My best friend. Delicious. That's a fresh tea. Ryunosuke, no one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me, and I'll do the rest. I was so happy I cried. But even then, somewhere inside me, I couldn't help thinking, surely he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely. But I was wrong, and then his model turned 90 degrees to face me. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute, unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute, unwavering belief in him. Since then, I came to realize, if you want someone to believe in you, you have to believe in the other person first. What are you saying? I promise you, Gina, that no matter what happens, I'll keep believing in you. So you don't need to worry. I won't let you down. Even though I'm a diver and a no-good liar? You're not like McGilded. I know that. Eh? That's right, you're our friend, Ginny. Iris. We know you better than you'd think. And we've come to the conclusion that you're someone we could trust. Yes. That's really all we need to know. Oh, how cheesy, 6-volt cheesy to be exact. Exactly. I really wanted the mac and cheese ice cream that Kraft and I forget what the company was named. Van Leeuwen. They sold out so quickly on it. I didn't get it. And it's like, you could still find it in stores. I'm like, no, I fucking can't. You think that I could go out to stores and find this shit? It's apparently very good, and that really makes me upset that I can't have it. One second, Gina. Mr. Nara-Odo, Defendant Gina Lestrade and her legal representative. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head into the courtroom immediately. That was an hour? Wow. Yes, of course. Thank you. Better eat this whole plate. I've been both the defendant and the defending lawyer in my time. Just continue eating your Cinnabon ice cream. Well, not yet because it's my diet, but you catch my drift, yeah. So I knew only too well just how hard it was to put your faith in all another. Blah. And I also knew just how hard it was to bear the burden of another putting all their faith in you. This is it at last. The final chapter. The final battle. Wish me luck, Susato-san. And I hope you're watching over me, too, partner. No. 1 hour later. I hereby call this court to order as we resume the trial of Miss Gina Lestrade. Lord Von Zeeks, have you successfully subpoenaed the witness? The subpoena was delivered to the communication station where the WAN works immediately, my lord. Sasato's book hasn't done anything so far. Well, oh, you mean the book she made for us? Yeah, the McGilded case file. I'm sure it will now. However, the heavy rain has delayed the arrival of his carriage, it would seem. I see. And let us turn our attention to Inspector Gregson's precis of the case heard by the court this morning. The glaring omission of the third bullet in your report is a serious blunder, Inspector. Yes, I can only apologize, my lord. And although the defense's chemical analysis of the blood at the scene makes for a compelling argument, I cannot permit such untried methods to be used as evidence in my courtroom. Huh. It's a big mistake to cross Hurley and me. A very big mistake. Don't say that to the judge. My lord. The subpoenaed witness. The subpoenaed witness has just arrived in the building. Yeah, she's threatening the judge. What the fuck? Thank you, officer. Show him to the stand without delay. Mr. Eggert Benedict. I didn't expect to be crossing paths with him again so soon. And certainly not like this. Yeah, I'm all about dicks today. Thank you for complying with the court's subpoena at such short notice, sir. But of course, my lord, as an upstanding member of London society, it is my pleasure to oblige. Now, kindly state your name and occupation for the court record. Ashley Graydon, Communications Officer. Ashley? Mr. Graydon and I both work at London's Central Communications Station. Now, perhaps somebody would kindly explain what all this is about. You were apprised of the situation by the court officer on your way here, I presume? Yes, I was. Something to do with the murder that took place at a pawnbroker's on Baker Street. And some nonsense about me having been there on the night in question. That is the accusation indeed. This really is beyond a joke, you know. Very well, without further delay, the court will hear your testimony now, Mr. Graydon. You will respond to the accusation made against you under oath. Gladly, my lord, gladly. I guess Ashley was just a boy's name back then. Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbrokering services from time to time. But are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the online... But are you seriously suggesting that I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation. Even if certain parties are present claim that my blood was found at the scene. Some Scaramouche detective's homebrewed tincture can hardly be taken as serious evidence. So, you deny the accusation completely, do you? I must say, I am dismayed. For the highest court in the land to be swayed by the self-professed detective's toy. It was the will of the jury, and our great British justice system demands the jury's will is upheld. Then it would seem we have the misfortune of a most inept assembly of jurors today. By golly! How long am I expected to be detained here? If, following the defense's cross-examination, your involvement in this matter has not been established, you'll be free to leave immediately. Good, then I shall be away in time for afternoon tea. Some small consolation at least. Let's not hold up Mr. Graydon any longer than necessary, counsel. Proceed with the cross-examination. So, we meet again, Mr. Eggert Benedict. Or is it Mr. Graydon? My apologies. You are... Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. We have met. If you say so. Ashley Graydon, enchanté. So... Ah! I trust we can conclude this quickly. Ugh. But I'm not holding your flashy hat while we do. Why'd he do that? Yes, we even met in the very pawnbrokery where the crime took place on the afternoon of the day in question. Though, of course, you introduced yourself by a different name at the time. It was Mr. Egbert Benedict, I believe. Tell me, what made you...
Objection!
The witness is here to testify about the events that took place that night. He is under no obligation to answer such unrelated questions. Bet he's prosecution's cousin throwing stuff. No, I don't think he's related to him. Looks nothing like him. Ashley Graydon, an operator in the Central Communications Station, has been subpoenaed because he was caught red-handed on a photograph taken by the red-handed recorders in the pawnbrokery. Wait, what? He was not caught on a photograph. Was he? Did the game just spoil that by having that put in the bio? You can't be serious. Thank you, because I certainly do not feel inclined to answer such inappropriate questions. So he's going to be evasive, is he? In an effort not to give anything away. This could be tricky. There's a hint you wanted so bad. There's the hint you wanted so bad last stream. No, not real. I mean, yeah, it's a hint I don't need now. But are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night number? Why am I saying that? Have you seen these two men before? This pair? No, I don't associate with criminals. Said by a man who introduced himself as Egbert Benedict. I'd like to know who I have to thank for this. Who made this outlandish accusation against me? The young lawyer there in the black. This is a farce. Whose idea was it to permit an outsider to work in a British court anyway? Well, needless to say, I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation.
Hold it!
Where were you at around 1 in the morning on the night in question, sir? That is past the hour at which I would normally retire. Certainly. I was not in the company of these rapscallions. Criminals are going to give him away. Maybe. You're able to prove that?
Objection!
Listen carefully, my learned Nipponese friend. For you appear to be under a gross misapprehension on this point. What do you mean? The witness maintains he was not at the scene of the crime. He has no obligation to prove his absence. If your accusation is that the witness was present at the scene, the obligation lies with you to prove your assertion. You will fulfill that obligation before putting any more unreasonable questions to the witness. A silent victory wiggle. Thanks. It's cod, by the way. The type of fish that is.
Hold it!
Blood was found at the scene of the crime. There's no question of that. Mr. Sholmes' chemical analysis has positively identified the substance as such. But I'm not the only human to have blood running through my veins, am I? How can you be so sure that the blood is mine? It could equally be the blood of one of these two miscreants. Every individual's blood has a slightly different composition, it seems. Mr. Sholmes' chemical is able to differentiate, but spare me the science lesson. Who is this Sholmes character, anyway? Oh, I assumed all Londoners would know the name. He's a renowned detective. So even you are unable to bring yourself to say, great detective. A great detective, you say? Now we're at the realm of fairy tales, aren't we?
Excuse me!
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Skulkin? Yeah, well, me? No, the Mr. Skulkin next to you. Right, I've had it up to here with this. How many times have I got to tell you? Yes, I know. You're not Big Bruv Skulky. Sulky, Skulky, McCulky. Mr. Nash Skulkin. Found out Nash is Japanese for pear, Nashu. And then Ringo, I already knew was Japanese for apple, but that's kind of the pun with their names. It's supposed to be pear and apple, which makes sense because Nash is tall and Ringo is short and stout. Also, they were eating food. They were eating a pear and an apple. What? You... What? What? God blimey, governor! Is it not the case when Mr. Graydon just spoke, a thought went through your mind? Would you care to share that thought with the court? Me thoughts? I don't have none of them. It must have been him. You... What? You what, mate? Mr. Nash Skulkin, answer the question, please. What went through your mind when Mr. Graydon just spoke? Nothing. Honest, Gov, nothing. I was just thinking... Sorry. Yeah, chokes on fish. If he waves his arm around like that much more, it'll open up the wound again, that's all. What wound? Where he took the bullet, of course. It was only 2 days ago. It ain't gonna be healed up yet. So I was, well, you know, I was worrying for him and... Wow! Unfucking believable. Oh, hell's bells. Mr. Graydon, did you hear that? Wow, that took no effort on my part. What? Your comrade is worried about you, it seems. On account of your injured arm. My lord... Yes, Mr. Graydon? I have no idea what these two wretches are talking about. Certainly I shouldn't be expected to answer anything in relation to their mindless insinuations. We know that someone other than the victim was hit by a bullet at the scene of the crime 2 nights ago. And from the height of the bullet hole in the wall, that person was likely hit in the upper arm or thereabouts. Perhaps you'd allow the court an official... Perhaps you'd allow a court official to examine your arm, sir? The left arm that you're currently clasping with your right hand, as if in pain. No, I refuse. You have shown no evidence whatsoever that links me to the common thieves. Accordingly, I am not obliged to permit any such invasion of my privacy. Privacy, sorry, we're in Britain. As I've already said, I'm completely uninvolved in all of this. I've never had anything to do with the pawnbrokery where this fellow was killed whatsoever. I take offense at the insinuation that I was in any way involved. You claim to have had nothing whatsoever to do with Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery, eh? My lord, the defense would like that last statement to be added to Mr. Graydon's formal testimony. Very well, counsel. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Graydon. Pawnbrokery. I think I said that before, when this case was introduced. Bottom line is, I've never had anything to do with the pawnbroking establishment where the man was killed.
Hold it!
Why'd I press that? I have evidence. Never had anything to do with it? You forget that I was there, Mr. Graydon, on the very afternoon of the incident. Obviously, I am not a complete stranger to the pawnbrokers. I'm currently on the lookout for an armchair to furnish my study. No, you were there to redeem an article. I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, he was literally there.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, Inspector? Come again, sunshine. You were there too, in fact, weren't you, Inspector? That afternoon? Well, yes, I do remember meeting yourself and the pawnbrokers that afternoon. You, your young Japanese assistant, and the accused were all present, as I recall. And at that time, this witness, Mr. Graydon, was trying to acquire a particular article. Well, now... I'm afraid I don't remember too clearly. What? But you must! I'm not going to lie and pretend I remember something that I don't. What's going on here? Gregson showed us a picture before, didn't he? You know, from the cameras in that Hurley installed in Windybanks. Yes, of course. Indeed, and the gentleman pictured bears a striking resemblance to the witness, I must say. Oh, we did have a picture of him. Where was that? 11 p.m. or is that 11 a.m.? 11 a.m., yeah. Exactly, which proves that Mr. Graydon was in the shop on the afternoon in question. At no point have I denied that fact. I merely entered the shop to pursue the articles on sale and have a word with the broker. Nothing more. This makes no sense. I understand why Mr. Graydon might be trying to cover his tracks. But why would Gregson be trying to avoid giving testimony about what happened? Because this clearly ties into the big case that he's not allowed to talk about. That's all he's going to say on the matter, is it? What do you think, Runo? I think he has no intention of telling us anything. He's well aware that the less he says, the less chance he has of giving himself away. The complete opposite of Hurley, then. He seems to think that the more he says, the better. Well, at least I managed to prise a little more information from these witnesses' lips. All thanks to the Skulkin brothers. Yes, they were the key to it after all. Jar Jar's the key to all this. So he says he had nothing to do with Windy Banks. Well, we know that's not true. Perhaps now would be a good time to have a proper look through the court record. Good idea. You never know what tiny scrap of information could be a valuable weapon. Bottom line is, I've never had anything to do with the pawnbrokering establishment.
Objection!
That was an easy one. What's with Iris and weapons? She's 10 years old and she's a genius. Of course she's going to make weapons. Have you ever seen this disc before, Mr. Graydon? Why? Is it supposed to mean something? This disc was, until the day of his murder, a pawn in Mr. Windybank's shop. It was redeemed by the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, that afternoon. However, somebody mysteriously appeared to try to take it from her. And that somebody was you, of course. Wasn't it, Mr. Graydon? As I've reiterated numerous times now, you are mistaken. That was not me. I've never seen that disc before in my life. It may have escaped your notice, but there's a small smear of blood on this disc. Oh yes, resulting from an abrasion of the thumb, perhaps. That's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. So, while the disc bears the remnants of that skirmish in the form of the smear of blood, the thumb of the person in question must bear the remnants also, in the form of a scratch. It's a straight-A student in every grade, and I didn't make Glocks at 10. Well, she's also a college graduate. She has a doctorate in medicine. And she's 10 years old. Good gracious, indeed it must. Mr. Graydon? You refused to allow a court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse to allow us to examine your thumb? Because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with the smear of blood on this disc. Well. It would seem I underestimated you. Medicine was cut their arm off back then. Not entirely. This is the this is like the turn of the century. This is when medicine started breaking through. Especially in Europe. What is the meaning of this? So you admit it now. You admit you have a scratch on your thumb from when you attempted to take the disc from the defendant? Yes, I'm going to admit it because we don't want to animate me taking off my glove to show the thumb. Order, order. Well, Mr. Graydon, it would appear there's been something of a misunderstanding here. I did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse. Order. Hey, Ryoko. What are you trying to say? It's really quite simple, you see. The disc was mine from the outset. Is there some crime in taking an item that you own out of pawn? What? It would seem, Mr. Graydon, that in this piece of evidence, my learned friend has established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now. As you wish, though I'm quite sure it has nothing to do whatsoever with the pawnbroker's murder. Okay, let me take another bite of my fish here. Mmm. 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 Good stuff. I ate all the chips. The fish do look similar to how the fish looks there, but the chips I got are just more like... They're more of those, like, circular ones that have, like, the waves on them. Rather than, like, big, like, fry. Like, home fry styles. It's good, too. I might have to add that to, like, my food rotation and get it more often. Stop calling the fries chips. Jeez, that's what they're called. They're called chips. Fish and chips. Though, the chippery, for some reason, they refer to it as chips with 2 P's. And I think that's just their branding. But, man, it's good. I don't know if they're a chain or not. But, delicious. Fish with 2 H's. Also, Ham, your message just got held because you said fucking French fries. And, the phrase fucking French was deemed to be, potentially jingoist. That's great. The disc. It, like, specifically highlighted fucking French. Don't want to offend some French fries. Yeah, exactly. There's a note on the disc saying, "For McGilded," but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, it doesn't even matter. The disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGilded, you say? The famous London philanthropist? Who perished in this very courtroom 2 months ago after being acquitted of a distinctly messy murder? Yes, my lord, the one and the same. Good lord! Mr. Graydon, are you saying that Mr. McGilded and yourself were acquainted? Yes, that's correct. Look at this dude, you'd obviously be acquainted with them. Order? Well, I certainly didn't expect to hear that name uttered in my courtroom today. According to what Gina told us, this disc was placed in the pawn on that fateful night 2 months ago. McGilded himself gave instructions to deposit it at Windybanks. It's funny that Mr. Graydon here is claiming the disc belongs to him then, isn't it? In all likelihood, he's lying. So he appeared that afternoon at Windybanks in order to get his hands on McGilded's disc for some reason. Counsel, you will commence your cross-examination, please. Is it to anyone to play the disc yet? Yes. They don't know what music box it's for. What happened was, before the police took it into custody, Sholmes took the disc, pressed it into his candy bar, his bar of caramel, without the inspector noticing, and was able to make a perfect replica of the disc. And he was looking, prior to getting shot, he was looking. He had essentially put an order in for every music player available in London, so he could figure out which one would play it right. Because the thing is, each music player in existence right now plays discs differently. Also, once again, I restarted my computer, but I'm getting Steam notifications now. Like, it's automatically logging into my friends in chat for some reason. I don't like that. It should be keeping me offline. So you're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted the ticket from your pocket or bag? That's right. Despite being mindful of danger when walking in the insalubrious areas of her kind frequent. Oh God, I can't read that line. Miss Lestrade did no such thing. Well, of course you would take that stance, but the girl is of a regular offender. You came to the pawnbrokery that day prepared with all the information you needed to identify the defendant. You were looking for her. That's what brought you to Windy Banks. To get your hands on Mr. McGilded's disc.
Objection!
My learned friend is a veritable font of nonsense. Nonsense? I concur with the prosecution. Counsel, you will refrain from conjecturing in this way. Is that clear? Yes, my lord. Then I will continue with my testimony for what possible use it can be. Proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain the situation and redeem my ticket. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night.
Hold it!
Kind of a pawn, check everyone. I'm gonna leave the messages on the screen long enough for people to read it here. Only downside is that even though it's leftover, there's a lot of grease on this fish, so it's making my controller messy.
Hold it!
Yes, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it? That's right, this was the very man. Apparently the police are collecting anything that has a connection to Mr. McGilded
Is that right?
as evidence.
Excuse me!
Is something wrong, Inspector? What do you mean? The last remark Mr. Graydon made in his testimony seemed to trouble you in some way. Green potato sticks, nice. No, it didn't. It's not. Leave me alone. Leave it alone. Let me ask you this, Inspector. Riddle me this, Batman. Why is Scotland Yard gathering Mr. McGilded's possessions? I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine. What is it, Inspector? Investigative secrets. Yes, exactly. You should know all about that. Magnus McGilded, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago. A man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions to public life. Yet he had a dark side, too. Where you going with this, Von Zieks? I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they? That's enough. Coppers like me have duties to carry out that we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know. Duties conferred by Lord Strongheart, I presume. The Lord Chief Justice appears to have a great faith in you, Inspector. Bottom line is, you want to get more out of me. You're gonna need Long Strongheart's paw print first. What's all this about? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Van Zieks here. It would appear that the Inspector has revealed all he is at liberty to reveal. Mr. Graydon, let us return to your testimony. Gladly, my lord.
Hold it!
But perhaps you'd seen something of value amongst the forfeited items? No, not at all. Oh. A valuer was brought in by the police to assess everything in the shop. Without exception, every article on the shelves was common or garden bric-a-brac. In that case, it's clear that you broke into the shop later that day in order to recover Mr. McGilded's disc. All I can think about when you see Inspector Gregson is Inspector Gadget. He does kind of have that same head shape. Tall, thin. Have you not been listening, man? Even if I had wanted to recover the disc, you may recall that it had been seized by the police that afternoon. It was no more in the shop that night than I. Excuse me. As I keep saying, I simply had no reason to break in. So there was nothing of Mr. McGilda's left in the shop that night. Nothing this man might have been after. I wonder if that's really true. Bruno, if you have some evidence, then let him have it. I'm dying to see that irritatingly assured expression of his crumble. McGilda slipped the disc into his coat pocket and had it deposited in Windy Banks. Then, when he realized he was going to be arrested on suspicion of the omnibus murder, he threatened Gina and forced her to take the redemption ticket. Iris is brutal, yeah. There's no doubt about it. That witness is lying through his pearly white teeth. The police were obviously after anything left behind by McGilda as well. That's why Inspector Gregson ended up taking the disc into custody that day. Custody. But Gregsy's being very strange about all this. There must be a reason for that, I'm sure. I just don't know what it is. For now, I need to focus on exposing the fact that Mr. Graydon is lying in his testimony. Okay. I had absolutely no reason. So, there's something here that I could use. Oh god. The edge piece of the fish is like way too crispy. The coat, but hadn't, Gina was already wearing it, and the police took it, didn't they? I don't feel like that'd be it. Also, I just realized I got all my health back. I only had 1 health at the end of the last stream. Oh, here goes one of them.
Objection!
Yep. I don't want to drop all my health here because that'll make things really annoying, so I'm gonna save. Absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that night. He wouldn't know anything about the manuscript. Autopsy report. Well, she was wearing the jacket then, so obviously the jacket was there.
Objection!
That wasn't it either, though. Gideon, Gleeful, and Eggert are the same person. Ham's Eggs Benedict. Alright. Think about this from another angle here. I don't quite understand this, the box one.
Objection!
That wasn't it either. Shit. I'm almost done eating, by the way. Then we could kick this into high gear. Want to test something? Sure, go ahead. Sounds like classic Mega Man Buster shots. Fucking French fries. First off, after you got after you got screened before, I did add fucking French to the filter, so that won't get caught if you say that again. But yeah, French fries is one word that's not gonna get caught. Also, hey Moth, sounds like classic Mega Man Buster shots. What, the talking noise? I wanna check. You have no idea how good these fish and chips were, that I have to, like, finish them now. One more bite. Damn good. That's not what they're called, and they aren't fries, not the way they serve them to me. I wouldn't call them fries. They were fried chips, if anything. Shrimp with lemon is pretty fire. It would be pretty fire because that would make my throat close. I can't eat shrimp, unfortunately. Okay, food stream is good. Over. Now, excuse me while I open this bag of smoothie Skittles. Yeah, I'm allergic to shrimp, unfortunately. I actually brought this up earlier. I'm allergic to shellfish, but it really doesn't affect me that badly except for shrimp. Clams, lobster, crab are all okay. But, shrimp definitely hits me the hardest. If it's fried and boiled, then all the iodine's out of it, so it's not as bad, but definitely can't eat it normally. I just gotta deal with my hand being all greasy. Absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. What about butterfly shrimp? I never had it, but I'd assume no. Did we even determine whose blood this was? It was blood this stain, like we suspected. That's right. Hurley's wonderful concoction soon proved that. I don't suppose Gina couldn't have been wearing leather gloves that night, could she? Ginny would never wear gloves. She's a pickpocket. She relies on being able to feel with her fingertips. I could be wrong, but I think I'm being told off. Wait, do I really not... Whose blood is that? Oh, it's thrice-fired Mason's blood. Huh. Was explain why his blood is on the calendar. One of the two dudes on the left accidentally slipped that he was there and got shot in the shoulder. However, he denies it, so we technically can't pursue it because there's no proof that he was actually there. Because again, we can't actually test the blood at this day and age, and they don't believe Iris's color-changing concoction, so it's not really good. we're kind of up shit's creek here. Order him to strip. He refused. And because we can't prove it, he doesn't have to. Couldn't be that, could it? Just tell him no balls gets people so easily. No More Heroes 3 has been pretty good so far. Oh, good. I have it. I got it Friday. I may start streaming it this upcoming week. I may wait, because I'm looking at how games are coming out, and I think between Metroid Dread in October and Pokemon in November, there's not going to be anything, so I'll be able to kind of make time for a bunch of stuff all at once and hopefully get through it. It couldn't be this pawnbroker's ticket.
Objection!
No, it wasn't. Oh shit, didn't mean to do that. Oh, wait! No, I know exactly. No, it's not the shuffle, I know what it is. It's this one and the first ticket, because this belonged to McGilded as well.
Objection!
There we go. This disc was deposited at Windy Banks on Magnus McGilded's instructions. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it for yourself.
Objection!
Conjecture again, and in any case, the disc was taken into custody by the police that afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbrokery again that night.
Objection!
Sorry, my learned friend, but that's not true. What? Mr. McGilded had another article on pawn at that Windy Banks, as this second pawnbroker's ticket proves. Ugh. There were two articles belonging to Mr. McGilded and Mr. Windy Banks' pawnbrokery. And the reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one. Together with their two accomplices, the Skulkin brothers. This is the second ticket, is it? What had the man deposited? The article description reads, one small box. Nice, good job, Nightbot. A rather vague description, it seems to me. Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box? Okay, just checking something. I believe there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did. This is absurd. Why on earth would I do such a thing? Once the article had been forfeited, I could simply walk into the shop and purchase it. There would be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft. That's a good point. Indeed. The witness makes a solid argument. So that means for some reason, this Graydon fellow needed the small box that very night. Does it? So hoping Rio to provoke with... Very well. Wait, what? Men who are afraid to reveal their upper bodies to other people are generally not confident about their physical conditions. We'll all be considerate about it. No, if there's one thing Graydon is, it's confident in his looks. He does JoJo poses all the time.
Objection!
It is time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord. Could you be a little less cryptic, Lord Van Zeeks? Hey, everyone, JoJo poses in this series. I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Windy Bank's pawnbrokery. And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it. Well, of course, he couldn't get into the back room. Why would he take it? Good gracious! Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please. Yes, sir. What prints? These prints were taken from one of the detective's security cameras. Ah, Hurley's red-handed recorders again. As previously explained, this plan of the shop layout. The victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in two locations. One was set to capture the counter where Mr. Windybank received his customers, and the other was set to capture the shelves on which the articles were placed for sale once forfeited. According to the evidence on this ticket, the Gilded Small Box had been forfeited already. 2 days before the incident, at 9 p.m. on 13th April to be precise, which means it would have been on the shelves of the forfeited items of the shop front. Now, whatever you have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's at 11 p.m. on 15th of April. The victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear. And then here we have another print. This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident. I see, so we have two pictures to compare. Though I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold. Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache. Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we considered theft as one of the possible motives for this case. We explored the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life. So your men have already compared these two prints thoroughly, Inspector? Yes, sir. We counted every single item in each of these two photographic prints. Print them out in a cereal boxes. I'll find the differences game. Yes, spot the difference. And the odds conclusion is that they are exactly the same number, are present in both. In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbrokery on the night in question. And my learned friend's assertion, I almost said assertion again, is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy. Surely the public will find the answer fast. Thoroughly means not at all. Yeah. Gah! Oh, I don't believe it. If I could have just shown that he'd stolen McGilded's pawned box, I might have been able to break him down at last. You know what, Bruno? I've been thinking, this really sucks. I wonder if these two photographs really are exactly the same. What? What? So, counsel, in the light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? It seems that, in fact, on the night in question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion? Do I? No. I don't know. Could there be some hidden discrepancy in these two photographic prints somewhere? Oh, how about I actually get to see what's back there? Also, man, the eye crossing thing does not work. Use a piece of evidence. Oh, man. I wasn't sure at first, but there's a clear discrepancy between these two prints. What? You must identify the location in question for the court, counsel. Indicate the precise location of the discrepancy of which you speak. I got my bottle of water. Alright, we need a better look at this. Yep, there's definitely items there, same. Items there, the same. I think the problem is that it's not that there's an item missing. It's that something looks different. An item is different. It's not the same. So I have to figure out which item it is. Which item looks different from shot to shot. There.
Take that!
Granted, these two prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them. No, I saw the message after I saw it. I was like, okay, one item either has to look different or it has to be in a slightly different location. But it's the second I saw it, I looked over to the chat and saw you mentioned it. What? When you view the two pictures stereoscopically, why can't the game do that for me normally? Like, why do I have to cross my eyes just because this game's not in the 3DS anymore? A single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box. Also, can you believe that the 3DS... Let me... Wait. Unbelievable! Can you believe the 3DS is fucking 10 years old already? It came out in 2011. Like, early 2011. I did not realize that. And the DS is even older. Now, the DS is what, 15? 16. 17. 2004, yeah. DS came out at the end of 2004, so it's almost 17. And the 3DS came out in 2011. It's really weird, because the 3DS felt like such an advanced system at the time. Let me... Wait. Unbelievable! Wish I had this game on 3DS, but then you wouldn't be able to read anything, yeah. By Jove, you're right. How extraordinary. It's like that gaming 20 years ago meme. Yeah, gaming 20 years ago was 2001. Mega Man Battle Network 1 was already out at this point. Showing Link to the Past in Wind Waker, yeah. What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilded's small box was indeed not stolen from Windy Banks on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it to its place on the shelves. Are you suggesting the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilded is in fact... Yes, the very same small box I just identified in those photographic prints.
Objection!
Mindless guesswork. What if it was? So a box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Which means, quite simply, that nothing has changed. Also, I just realized it's getting very hot in here because I had turned my air conditioner off while I was doing auditions. So if you excuse me, I'm going to just flip that back on real quick. On fan, not on full blast. Okay, it's on. Which means, quite simply, that nothing has changed. That may be true, but as if a small box can't possibly contain something of great importance inside. Yes, but Van Zieks is positing that this box has nothing to do with anything. Alright, McGilded's box wasn't stolen then. But doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things? No, what? Damn it! I didn't mean to do that. No, you're right. It changes nothing. The smile on Mr. Graydon's lips. Wait a minute. What am I saying? Of course it changes things. Or so I thought at first, but actually, I'd say it changes everything. Well... I'm letting that one roll. Well... It's changed your mind, certainly. And that capricious behavior earns you a penalty, my learned friend. I really should have thought that through better. But Counsel... If nothing was stolen and all that happened was that this box was moved slightly, how can that possibly alter the state of affairs here in the courtroom now? The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelves at Windy Banks as we speak.
Objection!
That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial. The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Van Zieks. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further examination. I love that the judge in this game is not afraid to call Van Zieks out on his bullshit. I also love how much more competent he is compared to the actual, like, Ace Attorney judge. It's cool. Like, they definitely tone down the comedic sense for both the serious characters while keeping it for, like, the main characters and the less serious ones. Like, we still don't know the judge's name. That's the joke, but he's also a much more competent man than Future Judge and Future Judge's brother. Actually, Future Judge's brother was pretty competent. He definitely joked a lot less. And for some reason in the English version, they gave him a Canadian accent. And just in how he talked, how his dialogue was typed out. We should have a report within a half hour. I think perhaps we should recess for a short while until the evidence is brought forth. To be hoodwinked by such a farce. Player attorney is cuter too, but that's just your opinion. I would say so. It's funny because he's the same age as Phoenix in the original trilogy. He's 23. I beg your pardon, Lord Van Zeeks. This is nothing but a smokescreen. A Nipponese specialty, it would seem. What are you trying to say? My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning. That this witness's intent was to steal an article belonging to Mr. McGilded from the pawnbrokery. Yet common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place. Exactly. It would be beyond absurd to break into a place for purpose of stealing such commonplace property. If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGilded perished 2 months ago, immediately after the conclusion of his trial. A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which it was established he was the upstanding member of the society, his reputation implied, in fact. So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense. The articles this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of its pockets, and a small box. I assure you, I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me. Liar. You know, that does make rather a lot of sense. It's not as if it was gold or jewels, was it? Though, goodness knows, Miss Gildermith was rich enough. But you can't deposit cash at a pawnbrokery. I didn't read that last line, what was it? I'm quite certain of that. The prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling. A trial in which he was rich white enough to be acquitted of all counts. Yeah, exactly. It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument. To explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen could have. Well, counsel, is your argument in fact demonstrable? Are you able to show proof that the disc or the box in any tangible way related to this case? Well, what's the matter, Runo? We know that they're related, don't we? They're both vital pieces of evidence. Yes, of course, you and I both know that. We know McGilded's true character, and we know the disc is significant, even if we don't know why. But if we explain all that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that McGilded's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. That and the defense's argument was flawed, based on false information. Oh no! If he didn't want such simple items, why did he claim them? Exactly. And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury. But Ginny... Could it be that Van Zeeks knows? Is that why he's doing this now? Because he anticipated everything? No way. But maybe... this could be a great opportunity for us. Sorry, I just need to check something else here real quick. Good. I just be like, career jump. Fanfic titles be like, we have not touched the stars, nor are we forgiven. And then you look at the tags, and the first one is anal fisting. Good tweet. That is a very good tweet. Sorry? What do you mean, Iris? Well, what is it that you always say, Runo? Sooner or later, the truth comes out. Every time. Alright, the exact significance of things that Mr. McGilda deposited at Mr. Windybank is something that only Gina can explain to the court. But if I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning this case. What's the right thing to do here? Oh my god, what am I supposed to do? This is rough. I mean, it's probably have Gina testify, but what if I pick leave it? No, I can't get Gina to testify about this. If I did, she'd be forced to admit that she's guilty of a serious offense already. And for a pickpocket like her, that would surely be the nail in the coffin as far as this trial is concerned. So you're not going to call Ginny then? Well, to be honest, I was on the verge of deciding not to. But we have to uncover the truth here. Oh, but that must. And in order to do that, we might have to suffer a few consequences along the way. Bruno. In other words, there's only one course of action for us to take here. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal. Oh? What proposal, counsel? While the court awaits the arrival of Mr. McGilda's small box... Yeah, it's a butt down must moment. I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to the witness stand. If I would be able to provide Kindergarten and Kindergarten 2, would you consider playing them on stream? Kindergarten? What do you mean Kindergarten 2? Like Kindergarten Cop? Because that movie's great. I love that movie. I'm a cop, you idiot! Kindergarten 2. Welcome to Kindergarten. New ways to get ruthlessly murdered? It's one of those games. Maybe, but no, don't, please don't, because I don't have time for them right now. I had someone give me, can you pass Kindergarten and Kindergarten 2? Yeah, I know. I have to repeat Kindergarten. Like how Preeny has to repeat 6th grade. My friend Momo makes that comic. And if you like cutesy kitty comics, webcomics, it's a good choice. I might consider it at some point, but the thing is, I'm so tight at... ooh, voice acting in the game too, nice. I'm so tightly wound with games right now, I don't know if I'm going to have time for it. Like, the only free time I have is going to be from between when Metroid Dread comes out and when Pokemon Diamond comes out, Shining Diamond. I don't think I'm getting anything between those, if you run out. Maybe, but again, that's not going to be for a while. Like, I have enough to stream right now to keep me busy for years. Literal years. And it just keeps growing the more I get stuff. Maybe at some point, but I would absolutely not recommend spending the money on that for me right now. I had someone gift me 2 games months ago, and I still haven't played them. The Defendant? To what end? It's to do with the various articles deposited at Mr. Windybank's by Mr. McGilda, my lord. Only one Mr. in that sentence. Miss Lestrade has information relating to them. I believe it would be beneficial for the court to hear what she has to say. It will prove the significance of the articles in question once and for all. Well, things are becoming interesting. I presume you've considered the implications of the testimony you're proposing. In particular, the impact it will have on the accused standing. And indeed, your own. I have. Lord Van Zeeks, would you care to explain that last remark? The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal. I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the accused herself. Like 20 bucks, it wouldn't be that bad. I know, but like I still feel bad when people gift me stuff that I know I'm never going to be able to touch for like months at a time. Okay, well, if you have no objection... So the court will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. You witnesses currently in the stand may step down until further notice. I don't mean to make light of anyone giving me gifts. The thing is, like, I'm in a position now where I give more than I receive because I used to get a lot of that stuff when I had no employment. And now I've got a decent employment and I can provide for others, and I tend to feel way better about giving stuff to people than taking stuff. I feel greedy whenever I take something from someone. Then I shall bid you good day. Yeah, I know, you spent 40 bucks on subs. That's why I said, like, it's not necessary, but appreciated. Wait. You, sir, shall remain in the stand while Miss Lestrade testifies. As you wish. Alright then, Gina, it's time. I know this will be hard, but please, put your faith in me here. Good luck, Runo. Macaruno. True. I feel like if you're well off, you should always give, but it's like, there is a limit. I donated to the Vine Sauce charity stream last Sunday, and that was well more than enough right now for a couple weeks, I think. One sec, sorry. There we go. The articles that Mr. McGilded had deposited in Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery are intimately related with the omnibus case, the trial of which was heard in this courtroom 2 months ago. Yes, and I remember this young lady being brought before me in that trial as well. That's right, my lord. Her testimony helped to establish the innocence of the defendant, Mr. McGilded. The omnibus case was intriguing, to say the least. And now here we all are again, the same players in that trial facing each other once more. A twist of fate, perhaps, my Nipponese friend. Gonna go for about another hour and a couple minutes. Done it to ABC Birds recently. I have not heard of that one. Allow me to recap the events of 2 months ago. An old brickmaker was stabbed to death in an omnibus running along London's winter streets. Apart from the victim, there was only one other person in the carriage, Mr. McGilded. Naturally, he was the prime suspect for the murder, but as the trial progressed, another possibility emerged. That the murder in fact took place above the defendant's head on the roof deck, with the body then being dropped through the skylight into the carriage below. It was Miss Lestrade whose testimony brought that possibility to light. At the time of the incident, Miss Lestrade was concealed under a seat in the carriage, hoping to pick the pockets of unsuspecting passengers. Pick the pockets, baby. Then, immediately after the trial, having been acquitted of the murder, Mr. McGilded died in this very courtroom in the most extraordinary of circumstances. A mystery that remains unsolved even now, even 2 months on, as indeed does the omnibus murder itself. Be that as it may, I recall neither the disc nor the small box being mentioned in the course of those proceedings. Miss Lestrade, would you tell the court now, please, what really happened in the omnibus 2 months ago, I mean? I don't know what you mean. I already said all what I know. And what about everything you told us yesterday from inside your prison cell? Please, Miss Lestrade, this is extremely important. But... Remember, little girl, if it transpires that you willfully withheld information in the trial 2 months ago, the Home Office will seek to prosecute you for perjury. And naturally, you will lose all credibility as a witness. Although, let's face facts, you have little credibility to lose. Jenny, don't listen to him. Please, you have to trust Runo now. Iris? We're on your side. Alright then. I'll talk. It's the right choice, Gina. Well, it would seem that my learned friend is hell-bent on bringing the entire courtroom down about its ears. So be it. I must confess that I'm struggling to understand what on earth is happening here. However, it would appear that Mr. McGilded's pawned articles in that extraordinary case of the omnibus harbor secrets of which we have been hitherto unaware. So, Miss Lestrade, you will now give your testimony before the court about the events of 2 months ago. You will reveal the truth, a commodity sorely lacking in your original statements. This is it, then. Everything's going to come out, like Van Ziek said. This could bring the whole courtroom down about my ears, but as a lawyer, I'm prepared to take that risk. The real truth of the omnibus case. Truth is, that Brickmaker Cove was in the cabin of the omnibus the whole time. When that Irishman dragged me out from under the seat, I saw that disc on the floor. All of a sudden, I heard a scream from over me head, and that pair of the roof deck went off to call the slops. That's when McGill slipped the driver's seat some tin to do a run to the pawn shop roundabout. He threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one about what I'd seen or heard. Good grief, this is outrageous! What you've just told the court bears almost no resemblance to your testimony 2 months ago. As you say, my lord. Then there's every chance I may have adjudicated an error in Mr. McGilded's trial. It sounds very much to me as if the man deliberately deceived this court in an effort to cover up the most wicked of schemes. Without doubt, your lordship is correct. A great injustice was done in this courtroom 2 months ago. The actions of the accused in that trial, of this witness, and of my learned friend are entirely inexcusable. I don't believe it. The whole trial was a farce. It was all lies. That McGilded fellow was rotten to the core, just like that pickpocket. Don't forget that lawyer from the East. They're all in it on it together. You're wrong, the lot of you. Mr. Nara-Odo, the lawyer there, he didn't know nothing about it. Humbug. I don't think so. Are we really to believe... Are we really expected to believe that? He really stitched everyone up, didn't he? What an operation to get the man off scot-free. Unforgivable. Stop. The lies have to stop. Stop. Yes, the defense made a terrible error of judgment. I intend to take full responsibility and suffer whatever consequences are deemed appropriate. However, it's imperative that the court allows the witness to elaborate on her testimony, because the true significance of McGilded's pawned articles must be brought to light. Very well, my learned student friend. Given the depths of calamity you've just plunged yourself into, this may well be worth hearing. Words fail me. This situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, my lord. I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial. Of course, my lord. Blimey, Mr. Naruhodo. Now, counsel, proceed with the cross-examination. The whole fart. Yeah. Full fart. The real truth of the omnibus case.
Hold it!
And you were hiding in the cabin at the time as well, weren't you, Miss Lestrade? If I remember rightly, in the storage compartment underneath one of the seats? Yeah, that's right. It's pitch black under there, so you can't see nothing at all. Well, it's oh, what the? What the fuck are they conspiring about?
Excuse me.
Is there something you'd like to share with the court, Inspector Gregson and Mr. Graydon? Inspector! Mr. Graydon! Whoa! Blimey, you trying to give me a heart attack? You've been whispering to each other for quite some time now. Tell us, what is the discussion about? Discussion? With this fella? Pull the other one, Sunshine. You think I've got anything to talk about with a shady agent like this? And I have nothing to say to this uncouth detective after he deprived me of that disc that was rightfully mine. Talking about what they're going to do later. Also, ow your ears. My mic might be on a bit too high. But they've clearly been talking the entire time I've been cross-examining Gina, all 10 seconds of it. It's as if they've been negotiating. That's probably what I had to notice, and I probably would not have seen that at all the entire time I was doing that. There we go. A little better. You will kindly refrain from talking amongst yourselves while the witness is giving testimony. Yes, sorry, my lord. Dumb, overly expensive, loud headset. I have professional headset. I have Sony, MDR 7506s, which a couple of professionals I know actually all use. and it's really nice that it's like I'm using something that professionals use. At the same time, though, the foam is coming out of one of my headpieces, so I might have to buy another one. I've had this for since I got my computer, so 2 years ago. So I might have to buy a new pair. It was $100, and that's not a good amount to be spending on headphones every 2 years, but considering the alternative is to spend thousands of dollars, I think I'll opt for the 100. What were those two talking about? Miss Lestrade, continue with your testimony, please. Okay, now I could probably get them to react to something.
Hold it!
But Astro A50s, which, while comfortable, was $300. See, I can understand spending $300 for headphones, but, like, I don't really need headphones that professional just yet. I need to be able to actually speak and be a good actor first. You were hiding in the cabin at the time as well, weren't you, Miss Lestrade? If I remember rightly, in the storage compartment underneath one of the seats? Yeah, that's right. It's pitch black under there, so you can't see nothing at all. Now, in your testimony 2 months ago, I feel certain that you claimed Mr. McGilded was the sole passenger. Did you not? You want a pair of Sennheiser HD 560s, but I don't think the build quality reflects their prices. I don't know much about headphones, honestly. I've not looked into new equipment in a while. False testimony, my lord. That's what he told me I had to say. But it's important that you tell us the truth now. Were Mr. McGilded and the victim acquaintances? I don't know. But I did hear him talking a lot. What were they talking about? Well, I couldn't hear too well, but if I had to say, I think it was about money or something. They kept talking about buying and not buying. Perhaps business dealings of some kind. Well, anyway, they got louder and louder. It started to sound like a proper fight. I was pretty scared by then. I hardly dared to breathe, and then, all of a sudden, I heard a noise like someone keeling over on the floor. It was blooming loud and all. And I believe you let out an involuntary scream. Yeah, that's what gave me away.
Hold it!
Was the disc you saw this disc? Yeah, I reckon it probably was. It was right next to the cove lying on the floor. Could this disc have belonged to the victim, perhaps? I don't know, but McGilded picked it up pretty smartish. And then he sat by the cove with the knife in his belly up in the seat. What did he say to you at that time? He told me not to say a word about what I'd seen or heard to no one. About the disc and all. I was dead scared. The way he was looking at me, I thought, if I didn't go along with it, I'd get stuck with that knife too. Then he started asking me a load of questions. Like what my name was and where I lived and all that. He asked me about being a diver too. But after a while, what had happened in the carriage was noticed. Yeah, that's right. First there was some kind of rapping noise.
Hold it!
There were two gentlemen occupying the seats in the roof deck, I believe. That's right. They must have looked down through the skylight and noticed the cove with the knife in his guts. When they screamed, the driver pulled up the horses and Mr. McGilded got me out of sight. Out of sight? Where? Back under the seat where I started off. Once the carriage came to an halt, the two coves from the roof ran to fetch the slops. If they immediately left to fetch the police, it would appear they were entirely unrelated to the incident. So that left McGilded, the driver, and you still at the scene. Yeah, only the driver didn't know I was there because I was under the seat. I heard the cabin door open and a voice from outside. The driver, yes, he also testified in the trial, I believe. A fellow went by the name of Beppo, if memory serves. Depot de Beppo? Never ate there. What did McGilded and the driver say to each other? I don't know what happened, and stuff like that, mainly. That's when McGilded slipped the driver some tin to do the run of the pawn shop and a roundabout.
Hold it!
That pawn shop obviously being Windy Banks on Baker Street. Did you Just a moment, Counsel. Do you mean to tell me that the driver gave false testimony in that trial as well? Perhaps the excursion to the pawnbrokery slipped his mind when he was in the stand. Indeed, Lord Van Zeeks. How come he gets off the hook and she doesn't? McGilded took off his coat and gave it to the driver. He folded it up all careful-like before handing it over. When I saw him do that, I remember thinking, that coat and what's in it has got to be worth a few bob. Yes, Gina was sure the disc must be worth more than Mr. Windybank was suggesting, wasn't she? I remember her quibbling with him over the price that afternoon at the pawnbrokery. The driver looked pretty happy when McGilded flashed some brass in his face. He went off running at a lick. Then the bog trotter called me to me and told me to come out from the drag's cabin. He threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one about what I'd seen or heard.
Hold it!
Threatened you how exactly? Told me I'd only be able to scupper if I did exactly what he said. Which included giving false testimony in court 2 months ago. Yeah, that's it. And there was one other thing he said. Which was... He told me if I'd have to hang on to the ticket from the pawn shop and make sure not to lose it. Is this in the watch later? Okay, get that out of there. The ticket? Well, I never... Said if he didn't show up to get that ticket off me before 2 months passed, I'd have to go to the pawn shop and pay the money to keep it in lug, to stop it from being forfeited. He left me with some brass to pay for it. But really, why on earth would Mr. McGilded have done such a thing? Depositing his overcoat with the pawnbroker before the arrival of police. It makes no sense at all. There would have only been one logical explanation, my lord. What McGilded had the driver deposit at Windybanks was something he didn't want the police to see. Something very important that he needed to hide at all costs. Anyway, after he let me go, so I legged it. After that, he let me go, so I legged it before the coppers showed up. Thank you, Miss Lestrade. Thank you, Counsel. I've heard enough. I believe we now have a reasonable understanding of what actually transpired on the omnibus. It would appear on that night 2 months ago, a negotiation was taking place on the omnibus. A negotiation concerning this disc. However, matters did not run smoothly. When the parties involved began to quarrel over price, McGilded took what he wanted by force. At that expense, the other man's life. Which proves my point. The disc is clearly extremely valuable in some way. Although I don't understand why as yet. And 2 days ago, precisely 2 months after the omnibus incident, McGilded's coat and its contents were due to be forfeited. I didn't know what I should do with the ticket. I mean, the cove died right after his trial. I knew that. So you decided you would try to claim the articles as your own. Well, why not, eh? They were only going to be forfeited. Why shouldn't I have got them? Anyway, you can't blame me for thinking about it. Thinking ain't no crime. Miss Lestrade, it would appear McGilded was prepared to kill in order to take possession of this disc. Do you know why that would be? I ain't got a clue. But I reckon it must be worth a fair bit of brass. It was probably gonna sell it. And you can't blame me for thinking that. Thinking ain't no crime. You just said that. My lord. Bailiff. The evidence your lordship requested has been located and is ready for the court's inspection, sir. Bum, 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 bum. That mysterious little box deposited by McGilded 2 months ago. There's no doubt in my mind that it's a key piece in this far-reaching puzzle. To be continued. Wow, that's a neat place for it to be continued. I'm not done for tonight, don't worry. We're gonna keep going. The box looks blue in the photo. So this is the article in question, is it? The small box deposited with the pawnbroker by Mr. McGilded 2 months ago. And on the night of Mr. Windybank's murder, it the only item on the shelves that was touched by whoever broke into the shop. Quick, quick, let's open it and see what's inside. It's gonna be empty. Oh, wait, what? It's a music player! Good gracious, this is no ordinary box, it seems. Wow, although in truth I had an inkling that it might be the case. It would appear that this box has a miniature music box movement. Then, is it too much to expect? I think it would be reasonable to assume that it is a device for the playback of this disc, my lord. Wow, Sholmes really put out pointless amounts of legwork, huh? Maybe it isn't, though. So, here we have the means to play back Mr. McGilded's disc, deposited at Mr. Windybank's at much the same time. Oh, whatever. I wasn't paying attention. Not strictly correct, my lord. It was not McGilded's disc. It was the disc of his victim in the omnibus. But why, for heaven's sake? Are we to understand that the brickmaker was trying to sell his music box discs to Mr. McGilded? Good. At least they're distinct enough that you could tell I was doing the wrong voice. I believe the answer will become clear if we listen to the music on the disc, my lord. Yes, very well. Let the court now listen to this curious disc at last.
Hold it!
Wait, my lord! Good grief, what is the meaning of this, Inspector? The music box and the disc are, well, they're unrelated to the case. No need to spoil the somber atmosphere in the courtroom with some silly bit of music.
Objection!
The disc may have very well been motivated in the culprit in the disc may have very well motivated the culprit in this case to commit murder. Clearly, there's every chance that it's fundamentally important to understanding what happened. The prosecution has no objection. But no! That piece of evidence. Wait, what? That piece of evidence is police property now. You can't. Clearly, Scotland Yard has vested some interest here. But it is policy of the prosecutor to leave no avenues unexplored. And you, Inspector, have no jurisdiction here to prevent that from happening. Gah! No further delays, please. Play the disc. That's not music. That's Morse code. What on earth? That's certainly not what I would call music. No. It's just the same note playing over and over again in a regular sequence. Am I really gonna have to go through a spiel about this being Morse code? It's very obvious. Juror number 5 to the rescue. Oh, yeah. Mr. Graydon. This is really priceless. After all that, the music box is broken. Broken? It can't be, can it? Well, obviously. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the officer sent to fetch it didn't drop it on the way back to the courtroom. Well, with much regret, I feel the court must accept that this music box offers little in the way of clues. Are you ready to move on, counsel? Come on. Yes, alright, it does sound as though it's completely broken, but is it? Could this music emanating from the music box possibly be a new clue? Don't put the negative answer on the top. God. This game also brings those up a lot quicker than, the other games, so it's like really hard not to accidentally click through it. I believe that it could be relevant, my lord. Good lord, but how can it be? It's an abomination, counsel, mere noise. I fail to see how it can have any meaning whatsoever. It does sound strange, I agree, but there's one thing bothering me. While Graydon stands there chortling victoriously, the inspector beside him has a rather telling expression on his face. It's as if Gregson recognizes the sound, as if he's familiar with it somehow. And that's making him appear extremely on edge. If that's the sense of the defense, my Nipponese friend, answer me this. Oh? Just what relevance do you propose this woeful chiming has on this case? It's the defense's belief that the sound emanating from this music box is broken, an unusual genre of music, not supposed to be music. There we go. I'm sure there are funny answers for the other ones, but just because this is a music box, it doesn't necessarily mean the sounds we're hearing are music. Look at that. The smile vanished from Graydon's lips as soon as I said that. I'm on the right lanes here. I must be. Making deductions based on how people react to what you say. You're acting just like Hurley, Runo.
Objection!
The sounds we're hearing aren't necessarily music. Well, now that you've told us what they are not. I'm sure the court would like to hear what they are. Do enlighten us, my Nipponese friend. Well, hey, sour cream. It's fine. Still got another half hour of this. I started late, too. I started an hour later than I normally do. So you've missed only about 2 hours instead of 3 hours. Check my Discord. Oh, it's cute. It's the cat. Why do we have Wave? I guess because I never interacted with you before. Why hasn't Juror 5 brought up her knowledge yet? Yeah, it's a good question. Surely you have an idea in mind, because if not, it will be the death of your ill-formed argument. Exactly. The music box is clearly broken. Refusing to accept that is pure foolishness. They've got me. I don't know what the answer is, yet. Runo. I just examined the music box very thoroughly, and I'm fairly certain that it's not broken at all. She's just sitting there watching these two guys bicker. Really? Really? The way it's been made, it can only produce a single note anyway. Thank you, Iris. Alright, well, if the music box isn't broken, it must mean that the sounds it's producing have some significance that isn't musical. Ah! Could it be? Yeah, you got it, Sour Cream. You figured it out immediately. Is that what those sounds are? Yes, I know, we have a teleprompter in the jury. Something just struck me, Bruno. I feel like recently, in the past few hours even, I've heard another sound very much like the one this music box makes. Yes, it's a familiar sound. Actually, Iris, I was just thinking exactly the same thing. I'm going to have to press the defense for an answer. If your assertion is that the sound produced by this music box is not in fact music at all, then what the devil is it, counsel? All the evidence we've seen so far, all the testimony we've heard, it's all pointing to one single answer now. The prosecution demands that my learned Nipponese friend presents proof now. Tangible proof of this latest wild speculation. Alright then, keep your secrets. This could be the best chance I'm going to get to fight back in this trial. And if I'm right, it's going to join all the dots together. The evidence that explains the true nature of the sounds on this music box disc is... why is it evidence? Ha 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 ha. I can't pick the lady. Sensational story down. Ministry mole overlooked classified may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice for a 10-year-old. It's about security communications between... Apparently they're being intercepted by hostile nations. Communications are being... How... That's the question, isn't it? I've come up with 3 possible methods. Are you looking for a new career? No, of course not. I wonder. Perhaps it's what looks strong out. Yes, it could be. This could be it.
Take that!
Today's paper, Council. The gal who uses the Morse code thingy. Yeah. She hasn't come up yet, though, even though she clearly is here. The headline is Pawnbroker Perishes in Pick Purse Plunder. How's it supportive of your cause? No, my lord. I was hoping you'd look a little further down the page. Further down, Ministry Mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. Yes, this is a very serious matter, being investigated at the highest level, I understand. I've heard that international transmissions along supposedly secure lines are being somehow intercepted and leaked to various other countries. And presumably, those transmissions are in the form of wired telegrams? Of course. Juror number 5, your input, please. Stop. Oh, me, sir? Whatever is the matter? You told the court before that you worked at the same communication station as Mr. Graydon, did you not? Yes, that's correct. And the particular station where you work deals with government communications and newspaper reports? Oh, yes, we're not your one-of-the-mill communication station at all. Our work is extremely important. Then tell me, is this not a very familiar sound? Hmm? You don't mean to say, is it? That's right, madam. It bears more than a passing resemblance to the sound made by your telegraph machine as you tap it. I believe it's called Morse code. But I don't believe it. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but when it comes to leaking telegrams from government departments, there could be nobody more perfectly placed than a highly skilled communications officer. Are you suggesting that the music box disc contains stolen government secrets in Morse code? Who gave that to McGilded? Order! Order! Please, everyone, order! But this is high treason, Council, deserving of capital punishment. Too much new vocabulary. What is treason, and what is capital punishment? The sorts of words I'd half expect you to know. For sovereign governments of confidential information, hostile nations would surely pay almost any price. Yes, and on that night 2 months ago, that was the very negotiation that was taking place inside the omnibus. How did Thrice-Fired Mason get the disc, then? But in the end, McGilded perished, and the all-important disc lay unclaimed in the pawnbrokery. My word! In which case, whoever stole the information in the first place must have surely been beside himself with worry. Because if the disc were to be discovered before it found its way out of the country, it would reveal an act of high treason, punishable by death. So the culprit had no choice but to retrieve it, and in order to do that, he would have to gain entry to the pawnbrokery illegally in the middle of the night. Because the article left behind by Mr. McGilded would incriminate him too much if it got into the wrong hands. Isn't that right, Mr. Graydon? You think that I've been stealing government secrets? Preposterous. Absolutely preposterous. So, in response to the defense's accusation, you claim complete innocence, do you? Well, of course I do. I've had to stand here in silence while that pretentious foreign lawyer has been prattling away.
Objection!
Then by all means, counter the charges, sir. The prosecution demands the witness testifies. Respond in response to the accusations brought by the defense. Delighted, I'm sure. The witness is reminded that crime under scrutiny in this trial is the murder of the pawnbroker, Mr. Windybank, that being a most flagitious offense, for which the law of this land sanctions a capital punishment. But the heinous act of high treason is no less a serious crime. I urge you to bear in mind as you testify, Mr. Graydon. So then, let us proceed. You may... You gotta let us have a rabbit and pork here, Governor. We got things to say. I beg your pardon? Who do you think you are? Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation is professional batting. Name's Ringo Skulkin, but we ain't baddies enough to sell out our own motherland. That's right. What they call... the three Skulkin brothers. Bad timing, fellas. Very bad timing. They were missing from the stand a while, yeah. Didn't we already deal with their BS? Yeah, but they're still here. A mere communications officer couldn't possibly steal confidential government information. Besides, the sounds produced by that music box aren't even Morse code. It was some low-class brickmaker negotiating with McGilded anyway, was it not? I have no relation to the man. Yeah, they ended up revealing the great evidence earlier on. Look, all we done is break them into them gaff like any night, what he told us to. If we'd known there was going to be dodgy government secrets involved, we wouldn't have touched it. Mr. Skulkin? One, Mr. Adu, Governor. What's up? Do I take it that you now admit to the crime? That on the night in question, you did indeed gain entry to the premises illegally? And moreover, you did so as a party of 3 in collaboration with Mr. Graydon there? We did, Gov, we did! Quieten down, please. What the fuck is that word? What say you to that, Mr. Graydon? I have no idea what these two ruffians are referring to. You little rotter getting us all mixed up in this monkey business. You never said nothing about no government secrets. It was supposed to be a straight-up job. And what about the geezer whose shop it was, eh? Poor bloke didn't have to die, did he? Ah! Nice to know who your friends are. I like how they're pretty much saying, yeah, he did it. You just can't prove it yet. Whatever these men say, I deny the accusations. Indeed. Well, I certainly wasn't expecting this little music box to become so significant in the proceedings. However, as it has, I will admit it into the court record as evidence. The small music box has been entered into the court record. Strange music box only displays a single note. It was deposited at Windy Banks 2 days ago before the black overcoat. 2 days before the black overcoat, excuse me. Graydon's counter. Ow. So is this newspaper headline accurate? Government communications are being intercepted? How could I possibly know? What do you mean by that? Any important government communications are handled by high-level officers, by specialists. General members of staff of the station where I work would never be entrusted with sensitive information. Oh no, stop! Must say something, stop! Let me guess. Juror number 5. We regular communication station officers aren't lowly as you're being led to believe. A team of us are responsible for setting up and testing the telegraphs used by the Ministry. And Mr. Graydon is the team leader. That's fascinating. Graydon is a highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in presence of idols. Stop. You had access to the equipment used for these confidential communications, Mr. Graydon. Well, what of it? The transmissions are always made from behind closed doors, so they can't be heard. And in any case, all messages are sent enciphered. Normal employees couldn't possibly understand them. Oh no, stop. Must say something. Stop. Mr. Graydon regularly attends meetings with Ministry technicians and the Ministry communications team. He assists them in ensuring that there are no errors in important international communications. And he's received the top prize at the cipher cracking convention 5 years in a row now. That's fascinating. Wow, she is just tearing him apart. Graydon is highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in presence of idol. Stop. Oh, your idol would appreciate if you kept your mouth shut. She should really pick her idols more carefully. I tell you, this lawyer's accusations are completely unfounded.
Hold it!
They're not? To anyone with a brain, that would be blatantly apparent on listening to that music box for even a few seconds. Of course. Surely it can't be that my learned friend is unfamiliar with Morse code. Ouch. He looks genuinely shocked at my ignorance. Yeah, I would be more than happy to demonstrate the basics for you, sir. Are we really gonna get a lesson here? Yeah, in court. Morse code is a continuous series of 2 distinct tones. Tones, you say? Dash and dots. Yes, a short dot and a long dash. By combining those in different ways, you construct letters. I see. For example, this is A. This is B. But when you listen to the sounds produced by this music box, you only hear one tone, don't you? But it sounds so similar. The rhythm of it is the same in everything. But there's no discernible meaning to this apparently random sequence of sounds. So your assertion is fundamentally flawed. This is not Morse code. No! Really, you shouldn't be so surprised. What did I tell you? That music box is nothing but a worthless piece of scrap. Perhaps you might consider studying your subject matter before casting aspersions in the future. Ugh, stop. Nothing to say, but stop. Oh, it's so frustrating, isn't it? Iris? I mean, if the government secrets were somehow being leaked using that music box, so many other things would be slotted into place so nicely. Could there still be something I haven't considered? Would it really be impossible to use this music box to somehow play back Morse code? I have not examined it yet. This is the mechanism that turns the bumps on the disc into sound, isn't it? Yes, the movement. It's all thanks to the comb with its teeth that are plucked by the passing bumps. Usually the teeth in the comb are different lengths, so that each one produces a different tone. But this comb is very strange. All the teeth are exactly the same length. Oh, what does that mean? It means that no matter which tooth is plucked by the passing bumps, the music box will make the same sound. I've never seen a music box like it before. Yes, it is strange. A music box that can only play a single note. There has to be some significance to that, surely. That switch? Does that do anything? Nope. Secret button? Hell yeah. Oh, what is it, Runo? I've just noticed something about this music box. It looks like there's a bottom of it opens up as well. Ah, you're right. Well, come on then. What are you waiting for? Let's open it. Alright then. Here goes. Look at that. There's another movement on the underside. So, does this mean you could set another disc to play back on this side? Yes, I think so, and it looks like the two movements are linked together. They're linked, so if you had two discs, they would both play back at the same time. So we have the dots disc. We need the dash disc. Was there another music disc at any point, other than the one Holmes copied? Or maybe we just need two copies of the same disc. An intricate little device. There's still every possibility that this music box was instrumental in the leaking of government secrets. That's the belief of the defense, at least.
Objection!
Does it please you in some way, my Nipponese friend, to repeat the same line of argument ad infinitum? It's already been established that to be Morse code, two tones are required, dots and dashes. My music bottle, my water bottle's leaking. Yes, my music bottle. I can play music with it. Beautiful. It's like that episode of Metalocalypse where they burn stuff on the water. Yes, I'm well aware of that. Then what? Well, it would appear the defense has a hypothesis to put forward. You had better present your idea at once, counsel. How do you propose that this music box, which appears to produce only a single tone, could have possibly been used to cipher secret messages into Morse code? Sweet. Deal. Oh, hey, we've already been to this.
Got it!
Good gracious, what am I looking at here? Another movement on the underside of the music box. What? It appears, my lord, that the two movements are linked together. In other words, you could put 2 discs in this music box, and the sounds of both will play back at the same time. Good heavens! As the chord is heard, Morse code comprises of 2 tones, a short dot and a long dash. With a second disc in place, the music box could be used to generate Morse code and convey a message. There's real spy shit going on here. This is beyond a joke. I'm sorry. This poor excuse for a lawyer has absolutely no evidence to support his claims. Though, of course, if my learned friend would be able to present the court with its second disc, that would be another matter. Well, I can't at the moment. And may I remind the court that, as the witness has pointed out, he was not the one in the omnibus with McGilden 2 months ago, striking a deal over the disc or discs. Indeed, that was Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. Exactly. I had nothing whatsoever to do with it. Though it has holes, I must admit this argument presented by the defense has much promise. I believe the cross-examination should continue. The link between Graydon and the victim of the omnibus case must be there somewhere, but I haven't found it yet. Oh dear, it looks like you need to give your argument more strength, Runo. You will reiterate your testimony, if you please, Mr. Graydon. If I must, though I maintain exactly what I did at the start of this pointless cross-examination. So 2 months ago in that omnibus, McGilden killed the brickmaker and stole the disc. How much longer am I streaming? About 16 minutes or so, 17 minutes. I might go a little longer, just to get closer to 3 hours, since I started an hour late today, but definitely stopping before 4. So at most, I'm going another 30 minutes. You want this case to end? This is the end of the game, so once I finish this and do the last 2 escapades, we're done. I did not anticipate finishing this tonight, though. Mr. Mason was a single man with almost nothing to his name. It seems he lived in an artisan quarter some years ago, but people there remember little about him. That doesn't make much sense, though, does it? How would a humble brickmaker come to acquire secret government information? How indeed. There must have been somebody else involved behind the scenes of all this. Somebody who acquired the disc and gave it to Mr. Mason. I just wish for a magic scroll? Yes, I do. In order to take it to the meeting with McGilden and negotiate a deal. Dear me. You may have it in for me, sir, but I assure you, I have far more class than that. Magic scroll that Van Zeek says. An old brickmaker from an artisan quarter and this well-to-do communications officer. If only I could find some evidence to link the 2 of them together. Nothing more to add on that note. Let us return to the witness testimony. Look, what we did was don't break into the yeah.
Hold it!
Like Mr. Graydon told you to do. Like Mr. Graydon told you to do, you mean? That's it, yeah? Who else, eh? Silly me thought he was just popping over for a NAFTA after all them years, but the rotter had a dodgy job for us. Eh, Ash? Let me stop you there, Mr. Skulkin. After all them years, you say? Do you mean to tell me that Mr. Graydon is an acquaintance of yours? We're the sociable kind of baddies, you know. Surely, let's just say Graydon's an old shiner.
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Mr. Skulkin? Eh? No, the other Mr. Skulkin. What? Who, me? When your brother was testifying just now, he said something that seemed to cause you to react. Oh, I was just remembering the old days, that's all. We used to have an alright old laugh together way back when. Together? With Mr. Graydon, you mean? Yeah, with Ash. I mean, you look at him now in his fancy whistle and flute, you wouldn't know Adam and Eve it. Maybe? I don't know, Sour Cream. That's a good question. Yeah, probably, actually. But when he was younger, he was from the poor part of our town, just like us. Is that so? But he was always a leery one. He had the brains, he had the savvy. Always coming up with smart ideas like what would never have gone through our heads. Oh, blimey, ain't that the truth? Anyway, Milverton and Skulkin's... Remember Milverton and Skulkin's milk run? That was a corker, eh? Save it until after the trial. Your reminiscing has no place in this courtroom. And neither does your fruit. Oi, the geezer asked us a question, didn't he? And we was answering. Yeah, we ain't done nothing wrong. Nevertheless, the court is not prepared to accompany you on a trip down memory lane. Counsel, we turn our attention back to the testimony, please. Yes, says the guy with the wine. I don't know, could that sentimental story be as relevant somehow? Yeah, let's add it. My lord? Yes, counsel? The brother's last sentimental statement could hold vital information relating to this case. Very well, counsel. I will permit the brothers to supplement their testimony with that detail. Briefly, I hasten to add. Say no more. Skulkin's never skulkin'. Sulkin. Macaulay's skulkin'. Milverton and Skulkin's milk run. God, them were the days.
Hold it!
I'm sure I'm going to regret asking, but what exactly was that? Some kind of business? Just a little scheme we had going on back when we was youngsters, but a bit of fun, really. Delivering fresh milk to the locals, that's what it was all about. That sounds alarmingly legitimate. There must be a catch. I suppose since we're here, I should ask them to elaborate, but on what? Business name. So this business was just a bit of fun, you say? And it was just yourselves and Mr. Graydon involved? Yeah, that's it. Milverton and Skulkin's milk run, was it? Yeah, that's it. And where did Milverton come from? Oh, right. I thought a clever clogs like you'd have worked that one out. That is... Enough of this. How much longer are we expected to listen to this drivel?
Objection.
I don't. Let me guess. You don't accept anything these two witnesses are saying? Tell me, why is it that it was only at the mention of the name Milverton that you decided to interject? Because well... Wait a minute, Milverton's the last name of, Mason, isn't it? Oh, he's not in the, Wait a minute, wait. Mason Milverton, male. Yep. Holy shit. You weren't the happiest of homes that one came from? Yeah, his old man was struggling for money so much his wife walked out on him. She took the name Graydon then, see? But Ash will always be Milverton to us. Milverton? So that used to be your surname, did it? Of course not. This is all bunkum. I've been a Graydon since I was born. That's the second time I've called someone Grayson. There's no one with the name Grayson in this game. Do you really think you could rely on the testimony of these two thieves, You're a communications officer attached to the civil service. As such, your personal details will have been thoroughly checked at the time of your appointment. Yeah, Dick Grayson, exactly. It would be a very simple matter indeed to subpoena those records, Mr. Graydon. Well, it would appear that Mr. and Mr. Skulkin's testimony has been reliable for once. You were born Ashley Milverton, then? Is that correct? Very well, yes. So Ashley Graydon was once Ashley Milverton. That information could change things, and could turn out to be extremely important. Ashley Graydon's personal profile has been updated. Telegraph Communications... okay, his last name was once Milverton years ago. He's a childhood friend of the Skulkin brothers. All of a sudden, we seem to be up in our necks in a serious matter of national security. Although all this talk about the interception of secret government messages is still conjecture at this stage. It would explain a number of things, though, wouldn't it? The negotiation Ginny overheard in the omnibus 2 months ago, and the break-in at Windy Banks? But the trouble is, it wasn't Mr. Graydon in the omnibus with McGilded. No, that was Mr. Mason, the brickmaker who was horribly murdered. 10-year-old involved in national security case, yeah. If only there was some link between the two men somehow. I know, but Mr. Graydon's testimony seems to be as watertight as ever. I wonder if the key to us making headway here is with the cross-examination. Could be those two brothers. It is.
Objection!
Mr. Ashley Milverton, tell me, why did you try to hide your former name from the court? Because I haven't gone by that name for years. It means nothing to me. No, I don't think that's the real explanation at all. Mother, I crave violence. The truth is, you had a reason to hide your name. Explain yourself, please, counsel. I have here the notes from the omnibus case, my lord. And as we all know, the victim, the men who we now understand to have been negotiating with Mr. McGilded. Yes, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. That's right. Only Mason wasn't his surname at all. It was his given name. His full name was Mason Milverton. Milverton? Do you mean to say, saints alive? Mr. Ashley Milverton, is it not the case that the brickmaker, Mr. Mason Milverton, was your father? I don't. As I believe I mentioned earlier, your family history will have been thoroughly checked when you join the civil service. Now I do the squawk act to make you say ara ara, but I don't think you would do the ara ara. Wait, I don't know what that's in reference to, but fun fact, blue and gold macaws, their scientific name is Ara ararana. It's very funny, and I love that. I love that that's their scientific name. Wait, let me see if I can... Blue and yellow macaw, sorry. Ararana. I actually named my beastling in Phantasy Star Portable 2 Araron, as kind of a reference to that, as well as a reference to Kratos Oron from Tales of Symphonia, which is a great game. And it really would take no time at all for the court to subpoena those records. Gah. The truth is, you have been illegally acquiring highly confidential government information and selling it to Mr. McGilded in collaboration with your father. Time to make a burp, Sona. The new facts and evidence unveiled by the cross-examination of this witness. So Cass is... Yeah, that's what Cass is. He's a blue and gold parrot. All come together to reveal the truth. The truth, you say? That you collaborated with your father, Mr. Mason Milverton, in illegal dealings with Magnus McGilded. By dint of this music box, you mean, counsel? Yes, stealing information being sent in secret government communications, and selling it on to McGilded. Mr. Graydon concocted this elaborate scheme of using the 2 music box discs to encode the information, as presumably a safety measure against the information falling into the wrong hands. And a very effective one. I shouldn't have given the scheme any credence whatsoever. Credence. Shit. But the deal with McGilded went sour, and the brickmaker met his end. Yes, but before he was arrested, McGilded managed to temporarily dispose of the stolen disc at the pawnbrokers. Then, having learned of the situation, you appeared at Windybanks 2 days ago, in an attempt to recover the 2 articles Mr. McGilded had placed in pawn there. But that attempt failed. One of the discs was seized by the police, and the other you never found. So that same night, you enlisted the help of the Skulkin brothers and broke into the pawnbrokery. This time, determined to recover the second disc. Are you suggesting the second disc was inside the music box? Eh? We never knew nothing about that. On the night that Mr. Windybank was killed. The intruder to the pawnbrokery touched one item and one item alone, the music box. As rather ingeniously demonstrated using the 2 prints from the security camera, indeed. So the question that naturally begs answering is this. Why was only that one article distributed? So every time you felt reading the judge's lines and just say, I beard be shit, I imagine the judge saying it. The answer is obvious, because it contained the second disc, which the intruder was desperate to retrieve. Since, if it were to fall into the hands of the police, it would be proof of the high treason. Well, Mr. Graydon, do you deny that all this actually began on that fateful night 2 months ago? I refuse to accept any of this nonsense. Again, still trying to figure out the murder thing, yeah. Sir. There appears to be blood seeping through the sleeve of your jacket. Wait, what? I missed that. Hold on a second. I looked away when that happened. I can't get past Area 2. I can't get past Area 1 in Spelunky. Oh yeah, look. How do I... Shit. Whatever. Yeah, but it was on his right arm. Also, anyone want to buy some mysterious sticky white liquid? Oh yeah, you want to see my first death in Spelunky? Check this shit out. Oh god, it's loud. I was playing the tutorial and I died during it. So I was like, yep, I'm gonna be doing great at this game. Fun. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. I definitely am glad I didn't start with Spelunky 2, because that game is way harder. Yeah, died during the tutorial. Would you like an eggplant in this trying time? I did a big screenshot show off a few weeks ago. I'm not doing that again. There appears to be blood seeping through the sleeve of your jacket. What? Ah! 2 nights ago. Egg bug? Wait, what about egg bug? We know that 3 shots were fired at the scene of the crime in Windy Bank's pawnbrokery. One took the life of the pawnbroker himself. One struck the pouch around Mr. Sholmes' waist. Eggplant bug? No, it's an eggplant horse. It's a seasonal item in Animal Crossing right now. I think you can't get it anymore. There was an eggplant horse and a cucumber horse, and it's like neither of those are any less silly, but they're also, you know, ceremonial stuff. Yeah, you would think Graydon wouldn't wear something that would show a blood stain on it. He had the coat, the coat that Gina had literally was hiding the blood spattered off of Mason, and the final bullet struck the calendar on the wall of the shop, having first pierced the arm of one of the intruders. Mr. Graydon, that wound on your arm that you seem to be trying to hide, it's a bullet wound, isn't it? He's got you now, me old China. Time to call it quits and croak, I reckon. I love how they're just straight up saying, like, yeah, this guy did it. I don't acknowledge my presence there under any circumstances whatsoever. Those were my terms, remember? And I paid you handsomely to comply. The eggplant on a stick is from a season where the horses are guiding spirits of the dead. Ah! See? Sour Cream knows all about it. There's a cucumber one and an eggplant one. Clearly, I was a fool to think I could trust some common back-slum thieves. Fine, I admit it. I was there in Windy Banks that night. I paid this pair 10 guineas to accompany me, and as you've noticed, I sustained an injury in the course of my adventures. But that is all. I admit to nothing more. Stealing government secrets, negotiating with Mr. McGilded. You read that from a manga. The manga is called Pet Shop of Horrors. As God is my witness, I'm sure I recall nothing of the sort. He's not going to go down without a fight. Not until I can show hard evidence, I suppose. Nevertheless, the defense has now established a crucial fact. Cool, eerie, and karmic story. Interesting. I might have to look into that. I like the new series where the guy gets turned into a fursuit. I can't remember what it's called. Which is... Well, we now know that one bullet was fired from each of the 2 firearms we have in evidence. The bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun hit the pouch around Mr. Sholmes' waist. And the bullet from Mr. Windybank's gun clearly must have been the one that caught Mr. Graydon in the arm. Indeed it must. We can rule out the possibility that the man shot himself. And that leads us to only one conclusion. Mr. Windybank was shot by a 3rd gun, which can only have been fired by the 3rd intruder. Goodness. That's right, Mr. Graydon. The only person who could have possibly have shot Mr. Windybank that night is you. This is just the Von Karma case. Yeah, it is. You little upstart. You made a grave mistake when you summoned me here. What? What's that supposed to mean? Yes, as you rightly say, I was there at the pawnbroker's. I did my best to hide the fact, naturally. I had no intention of ruining the distinguished career I'd built for myself at the communications station. Also, holy fuck, someone is playing the song on my Motion. As he pointed Zeke's, yeah. But did the thought never cross your mind? Did you ever never consider the possibility? What? What do you mean? What thought? What possibility? The possibility that if I was there at the scene, I may have witnessed the crucial moment. You see... This makes me a key witness in this case, and I have my hands firmly around the neck of your client. What? Are you suggesting... I saw it all. I saw the very moment that pickpocket girl pointed the gun at that poor defenseless pawnbroker and shot him. You... What? Bump, 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 bump. Order, order, order! Yeah, what a dick. It's bullshit. Well, it would seem we are finally entering the last act of this theatrical trial. Mr. Graydon. Yes? I trust you are fully aware of the implications here. If it is shown that your claim is false, you will have incriminated yourself as the killer. Oh, I understand fully. And I must ask you to give your formal testimony once more. You will explain to the court precisely what you saw at the moment the defendant allegedly shot the victim. Nothing would give me greater pleasure. And this is where we're going to stop, because I have a feeling that this is close to the end, and if I go any further, I'm going to have to watch the end of the game, and that'll probably take like another half hour. Plus, then I have still the 2 escapades. So, we will come to the moment of shooting tomorrow. Start with that. We'll finish it up. I guess let me see how much more there is left. This might contain spoilers, so you might want to look away. I mean, at this point, we already know it's him that did it. There's really nothing else that could be spoiled, but... definitely want to stop for now. I mean, we gotta be close to the end at this point. By the way, if he was shot there, he would have been able to move that armor, be dead. Maybe, I don't know. Pre-trial, eyewitness, recess, Graydon, new evidence, final cross-examination, grand finale. So we're probably at 15 of 17. So, okay, we still got a bit more of this case to go. And then on top of that, we also have 2 more escapades to still finish of the first game. And then we'll be done. So I'll pick that up tomorrow night. I'll start streaming at normal times. We'll plow through the rest of this. Get adventures done. Resolve will be saved for later this year at some point. Not right away, just because it's going to take another, like, 4 weeks to get through that. Where the bullet landed in hidden artery. Yeah, possibly. I mean, it could have just grazed his skin, for all we know, and it's just bleeding. So yeah, streams this week. Tomorrow, finish Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. If there's any time left, I may do something else. Don't know yet. Tuesday and Wednesday night. So Wednesday is the Twitch blackout, the September 1st, but because I stream after midnight, I'm kind of just going to take 2 days off just to be safe here and get maximum impact out of it. During this time, I will probably be doing auditions, but I also think I'm going to be recording something off stream and just uploading it straight to YouTube. So what I might do is Tuesday, Tuesday I might record something, and then I'll upload it like Wednesday evening, and which will still get Monday's VOD on Wednesday as well. So just look out on my YouTube channel for something original, something of just me talking to myself, I guess. That'll be fun. I will be here this weekend, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't know what's going to happen yet. Probably going to move to something else. We'll see. Well, obviously I'll move to something else. I don't know if I'll be returning to something old or starting something new. Well, again, it's all up in the air. 5th anniversary stream is next week. I don't know when and how I'm going to do it because I think I work the day of the anniversary, so we'll see, but we'll also see what happens. I don't know. Anyway, yep. If you want to check out more streams, check out twitch.tv/team/wildabandon. Plenty of people streaming right now. I have enough people here to do a raid, so yeah, let's raid someone. Sour Cream, is their name Soxy? That's who you want to raid? Or is it Soxy with like a number after it? You know what? I'm not even gonna wait. I'm just gonna do it. Anyway, you all have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow. No, Soxy's offline. So yeah, we'll just wait for the... We'll get someone on Wild Abandon's page.